So why did I swap a spot at the New York City Marathon for a run at the Ann Arbor Turkey Trot? So the New York City Marathon, you have to sign up for that about a year in advance. This was going to be the host for the World Age Group Marathon Championships, and I won that a couple years ago in the 45 to 49 age group, and I wanted to run it again. Last year it was in Australia, which was logistically tough to do, but with this year in New York, I was excited to do it again, and basically signed up without even looking at the calendar. Turns out that's the same weekend as the Michigan High School State Cross Country Championships, and we got two high schoolers, a 9th and a 10th grader, and I knew that if one of them, or both of them qualified, that I'd want to watch them race. And lo and behold, my daughter did end up qualifying. She ran a great race at the regionals and pretty easily qualified for the state champs. And so I knew right then that, I wasn't going to run New York. And so there was a lot of training over the summer, because I didn't really want to jinx her by saying I was not going to run. So I put in most of the work. Probably got myself into around 231 shape or so, but who knows? You never know until you actually run the race. And everything felt pretty good. So I figured, asking myself, what would I do with my fitness since I wasn't going to run? So I wanted to be able to shift the pace, quite literally, to be able to run a decent 5K. The nice thing with the 5K is that it doesn't beat you up so much, so I knew I'd get a couple chances to run one. So I gave myself like 4 weeks, kind of dropped the marathon pace workouts and exchanged them for some more, VO2 max workouts and some kind of faster lactate threshold workouts. And I always think there's a bit of a distinction between lactate threshold. I think most people kind of lump them all together. But, depending on what you're trying to do, you can sort of be either a little bit faster or a little bit slower than your threshold, depending on the race distance. And, for the 5K and 10K, I think running them, a little bit faster than your threshold is a good idea, because it gets your body used to, accumulating the lactate, in that shorter time period. So it's sort of a new exercise, trying to take marathon fitness and quickly convert that into 5K fitness. And I think it went okay. I think I did 3 VO2 max type workouts beforehand. Those first couple VO2 max workouts were especially tough. I've been doing a lot of marathon pace work, which, sort of takes its toll over the long term. But with the VO2 max stuff, like, it hits you pretty quickly. And so, one of the workouts I did was 3 by 1 mile with a couple minutes rest. And, maybe I just didn't do as good of a warm up as I should have, but that first mile, I was really sucking wind, which is probably what you should be doing for a VO2 max workout. Typically I'm not really breathing that hard at marathon pace for me, and same with lactate threshold, I'm not really breathing that hard. It's just sort of a gradual accumulation of fatigue. But that's certainly not the case when you're running, 20, 30 seconds faster. It really starts to get painful pretty quickly. But then after a couple workouts, it started to feel a bit better. I'm not sure if it was mental, that, my mind was just sort of used to, going to that slightly more painful place. or probably also was a bit more conscious of you know, getting some long hard strides in before my first interval, just to get the body ready. But you know, I adapted pretty quickly, and you know, so I gave a 5K a try. It turned out it was, you know, the first snow we had this year. That morning, it was windy and cold and snowing, but I still gave it a pretty good effort. I was kind of all alone. There was no one else sort of in that pace range, and felt strong for the first mile, and then as is typical of a 5K, that middle mile I just kind of got soft and fell off the pace quite a bit. You know, I was shooting to go under 16 minutes, and you know, was easily on pace to do that in the first mile and even in that last mile. But that middle mile, I just sort of did myself in, and I think I ran like a 5:26 or so, which, you know, isn't terrible. I think with a bit more concentration, I probably could have gone a bit faster. And anyways, I missed my sub 16 by a few seconds. But it's still a pretty good showing, you know, given the circumstances. And I had a lot of fun with, you know, my daughter out there cheering for me, kind of a reverse role from the rest of the season where I was cheering for her and my son at the cross country races.
Let's go, Dad! Let's go!
So the first attempt went pretty well, not perfect, but definitely room for improvement. So felt pretty confident I still get under 16 minutes at the turkey trot, which was on Thanksgiving, and I knew that race was going to have better competition. You know, I wasn't going to win that one, so was looking forward to have some people pushing me, and had a chance to get a couple more faster workouts in, and you know, I felt a little bit sharper. So for those of you who live in the Midwest, know that Thanksgiving with the weather here is pretty terrible. So once again, a cold morning, even windier, like 35 mile per hour gusts, 20 mile an hour winds, and some snow that when landed on the roads turned to ice. And a couple of the downhills, you really had to watch your step and consciously slow way down to avoid wiping out. So this one actually didn't go any better. I think I ran like maybe 13 seconds slower, maybe like 16, 17. You know, still a solid showing, and I felt okay. I think I was able to push a bit more, but it was a tougher day, a tougher course. It was kind of a hillier course. So we'll see. I hadn't planned on doing a third one, but I think if I can find something, I'll give it another go. I still would like to take this opportunity, and while I've got some decent fitness, to try to get under 16 minutes. It's been a while since I've done that, so it'd be fun to do that again.